Hello again, everybody. Again, this is Benjamin with the Ecomdash support team. I'm going to be guiding us through this Inventory Management 101 webinar demonstration here today. Thanks again for coming out. Looks like we've still seeing a little bit more people come in, but I think we're going to go ahead and get things started here. As mentioned, as kind of a very basic high-level overview of some of the inventory basics here in Ecomdash. So different features, what different products mean, how AutoSync works. I'm going to cover all of those here and kind of get something pulled up here. We'll take a look at our agenda here for the day. So first we're going to cover how to get your products into Ecomdash. So there's a few different ways. We're going to go over kind of how they work. Then we're going to go over the different product types. We've got 4 main product types: standard product, kit, a built product, and parent products. We'll kind of go over the different uses for those, how they appear in Ecomdash and how you can use them. Then go over the product details page overview. So within inventory management in Ecomdash, if you click the binoculars next to a product, there's a lot of fields there, a lot of information that you can use. So we'll kind of go over what the different fields there are used for, kind of what you can do with them, how they matter to you, and also a few of the different tabs that appear there and how they're used. We'll then also kind of go over managing quantities in Ecomdash, how we manage your quantities for you, where you need to update your quantities, different ways you can update quantities. So we'll go over those. And then finally, really important one is going to be, what is AutoSync? Basically, how does AutoSync work? What does it mean? How do you turn it on? So we'll kind of dive deep into those. We will touch on a few different aspects of Ecomdash, but again, this is focused more on inventory. And then next week, we will actually be hosting a advanced inventory webinar that can go over a few of these details a little more in depth. But let's dive right in, start taking a look at adding your inventory in Ecomdash, so what you can do with this. So to get your inventory into Ecomdash, 2 main ways so that we can help you manage your products. Number 1 will be download listings. And number 2 is uploading inventory. So that would be like with a CSV file, uploading it in. So download listings is going to be the easier version of this if you already have products out on your storefront. Because with download listings, it's as simple as triggering a listing download within Ecomdash. We will go out to your storefront and bring them in. Here in just a second, we'll actually pop into a test Ecomdash account, so I can kind of walk you through how to do that. But again, it's as simple as kind of kicking that off. We go out to your storefronts, we find SKUs that are not already in your Ecomdash inventory, and then we bring them in. So that you can see them when we first create them. We'll bring them in with the name they had out on the storefront, the quantity they initially had, and the SKU number that they have. The SKU number is very important for both of these methods to get your products into Ecomdash. Since we use SKUs to import orders correctly, reduce from the correct items, to sync quantities out, SKU number is very important that they match up and that your product has a SKU number. So some of the various things you can kind of run into when downloading listings would be simply if your products don't have SKU numbers assigned to them on the storefront. So that is very important, and if they are filled out, it makes that process pretty seamless. And then the other option, let's say you don't have any listings out there, you're using the Ecomdash to start pushing out to new storefronts. We do have the option of uploading a CSV file to actually get them in. So we're going to take a look here, like I mentioned, into a test account so that we can kind of see what this looks like. So to download listings within the software, there's the main place that you can kind of kick this off would be hovering over the listings section and clicking download listings. Doing that will take you to a page just like this, where you will see your integrated storefronts that you can select to download listings from. So essentially, you would select one or multiple. You can also select all by checking this box. But by selecting one of these and clicking go, we will go out to your storefront. Like I mentioned, find any products that are not already in Ecomdash. We're looking for new SKUs. When we find them, we will import them and add them into your inventory. You can check the progress of a download listings by taking advantage of the history section. So you would hover over listings, history, and listing import history. So you'd be able to see here that one is in process and running through. Once it's complete, you'd be able to come into your Ecomdash inventory and you would see all your products here. So as I mentioned, when we first bring them in, we're going to bring them in with the name you have on your storefront, the SKU number, and the quantity. If you are downloading from multiple storefronts that all have these same items, you don't have to worry about duplication. Once Ecomdash has this information, once Ecomdash has a SKU number, and we will not bring it in again. So if you trigger a download from your Etsy storefront, bring all of them in, and then you trigger one from Amazon. If the SKUs are all the same, Ecomdash will realize that, and we will not bring it in again. We also will not override quantities. Once Ecomdash has quantity, so if you trigger a listing download from Etsy first, and let's say we're looking at this sample product here. If we brought this in from Etsy with a quantity of 26, and then you did a download from Amazon, who may have happened to have a different quantity, the quantity we initially brought in is going to be the quantity we keep. Ecomdash acts as a master of inventory. What that means is once we have a quantity value for you, we view that as the correct quantity. And this kind of makes things easier. It gives you one place to manage your inventory. So again, you don't have to worry about having things overwritten. Again, a download listings will not overwrite any information. It will simply bring in new information. So the download listing is going to be the simple version. We go out, we'll bring them all in. That process allows us to update and show you whether a product is listed on that storefront or not, because as part of that download, we do look at that. So then the other option is a file upload. So let's say you have a file that has all your products on it and you need to get that into Ecomdash to upload your files, not downloading listings yet. Or maybe you have some additional products that are not listed out there, but you want to get them into Ecomdash so that you can begin listing them out to various storefronts. So once you have your CSV file, so if you already have a file that's got various products on it, it's got your SKU numbers. The important thing when it comes to uploading a file into Ecomdash, and I've got this noted here, when uploading inventory, there are 3 required fields that you need to have in your CSV file. Those are the SKU number, a name, and a warehouse quantity. Now I will mention that if you don't have name on there, you'll still upload the product, but we would assign the SKU number as the name of the product. So I know most of you probably wouldn't want that to be the case. And SKU number is required. For any file upload into Ecomdash, you need to have a SKU number so that we can either create a new product or we can match up the information in your CSV file with a SKU that's already in Ecomdash. So if you are going to be uploading your products into Ecomdash, SKU number, name, warehouse quantity at minimum. You can have other information, that's okay. These 3 are very important. So when uploading information into Ecomdash, we can kind of see what it looks like. You have a CSV file. What you need to do is tell Ecomdash how to read your CSV file. So to kind of keep things simple, if your file you have in column 1, you've got your SKU numbers, column 2, you have the name of the product, and column 3, you have the quantity. You simply want to make an import format in Ecomdash so that you can upload that file and place that data into the correct fields. So we're going to create one here real quick, just a test import format. And click add new. It's going to take us to the first page. So when uploading or creating an import format in Ecomdash, when you're creating a product, certain things like the storefronts drop-down menu here, those don't matter a whole lot when you're simply creating a product. What this storefronts drop-down is going to allow you to do is more when you get to listing and you need to upload listing or storefront specific attributes. We will be hosting a listing webinar here in the next few months that'll go into more depth on how to use that. What would be important for us is going to be quantity, or will be the warehouse, and that's going to be because of quantity. So in Ecomdash, your inventory is based out of warehouses. Whether you have a single warehouse or whether you have multiple warehouses, you do need to define when you're uploading a file with quantity on it, where that quantity belongs. So if you have a single warehouse, such as we always default when you create an account with Ecomdash to the My Warehouse. We give you a My Warehouse. So if you only have a single warehouse, or if you have multiple, you simply select the warehouse here that you're going to be uploading the quantities for. And then, as I mentioned in our example, if your Excel file or your CSV file has SKU number, name, and quantity in those 3 columns, we just need to create an import format so we know how to read it. So since SKU number was in your first column, we need to find SKU number from this list of attributes. There are a few various ones. You just want to make sure for this situation that you are using SKU number. So we want to select SKU number and add it. The other thing we want to add is going to be name. So again, there's a few different ones. Sold as name is more handled for listing, but name is just the name of the product in Ecomdash. So we're going to add that. And then the last one is quantity. This is extremely important because we do have various types of quantity. And if I actually just search quantity here, we'll see the different ones that come up. And this can be very important when uploading your information to ensure you're placing the quantities into the correct place. So as you see, if we search quantity here, 4 different ones come up. For our purposes, simply want to use warehouse quantity. And as you can see from the little definition, it's simply the quantity that is in a warehouse. So back on that previous page, kind of behind this, back here, we defined this is for My Warehouse. So when you click and we add this, now a warehouse has to be saved to be able to add warehouse quantity. If you do not save and try to add it, you will get an error message. So we'll see these added, warehouse quantity didn't, have an error message pop up. So what we want to do is we do want to save so that it locks in the warehouse you selected. So it's still saved there. We'll come back in here. We're going to be able to type in now, again, warehouse quantity. We'll be able to now select it and add it successfully to the import format. So this, again, will kind of allow us to do it. So once we have this, we simply save. If your file that you have has a header on it, we do want to check this. Otherwise, we'll try and import the titles you have or the headers as products. So if you do have a header within your CSV file, we want to check that so we ignore it. And then once this is done and we have a file that matches, one other very key important thing here is when creating an import format in Ecomdash, the number of attributes listed must match the number of columns. If you have some additional columns that you would like to import, that's okay. Again, those are just the minimums, but there's plenty others here that you're able to upload and choose from if you have that in there. If, again, your file has other columns and you're not able to remove them from your file, we do have an ignore attribute that you can search for, and basically you can say just ignore this column because, again, the number of attributes must match the number of columns in your file. So once you have that, we save, we've successfully updated. To upload a file into Ecomdash, you simply come to Inventory and select Upload Inventory, where step 1, you're going to select the file that you have. So it does need to be in a CSV format. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet, you can save it in a .csv format. So you select that here, click Browse, choose it from your computer. Then step 2 is to say, basically, what's the format? How do you want us to read that file? We just created this test import format, so you'd select that there. This next one is very important. If a SKU matches on your file that's already in Ecomdash, what would you like us to do? If you say perform no action, any SKU that's on that file that we already have, we're just going to skip over it. We're not going to do anything with it. If you are trying to update information or import new quantities or change the name, or anything that you would like to do to update existing products, you would want to select overwrite. Basically, we'll take everything that's on there, we'll make a match on the SKUs, and import the other two columns. So again, with name and quantity. The increase existing product quantity file can be used where, if in the quantity column of your import format, if that quantity column has, instead of the actual value, it's saying to increase your quantity by a certain number, or decrease if it's negative, you would select that. So if you had 10 in Ecomdash in your file, it just says to increase 1, you're adding 1 to it. You would have 1 in that warehouse quantity column, and you'd select increase. But if you're simply trying to upload the actual quantities, if the quantity on the file is 20 and you want to make the quantity in Ecomdash 20, you would select overwrite. Again, if you don't do that and you run the upload, it can say successful, but nothing may happen because you've set it to perform no action. The last little thing you do want to check is create new product if SKU doesn't match. If you're trying to create brand new products in Ecomdash, which we are in this example, you would want to check that box. If you don't check that box, we'll look through the list and say, all of those SKUs are not in Ecomdash already, skip over them. So you do want to check that so that we can look through, say, these are new SKUs, but they've said to create a new product if the SKU doesn't match something already in Ecomdash, and we'll create these new items. So once you've selected all these, you click upload. We're going to run through that file, go row by row to import everything, and you can monitor that status under inventory history, upload inventory history. Once you see this is complete, you would be able to go back to inventory management where you'd see all of your products. They're all going to be listed out here for you. So those are kind of the two different ways. Obviously, with these imports and exports, or imports into Ecomdash, you can import a lot of information and you can really customize that import format we went over. But just trying to keep things pretty basic, those are the 3 required ones: SKU number, name, and warehouse quantity. And if you follow those steps and upload the file, it'll create those products in Ecomdash so that you'd be able to see them in your inventory and begin the next steps of listing them out. So those are again the 2 major ways of getting your products in. I do want to mention, if you guys have any questions throughout this process, we will have some time at the end to go over those questions. Feel free to submit them. Again, towards the end, take a look at some of those and see if we can run through those depending on time. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next section here. This is product types. So once you've got your inventory into Ecomdash, there's 4 different types of products that you have. And I've kind of provided some examples here, but we have a standard product, which, if we're using the examples you see listed below of a football jersey, standard product is just going to be a simple football jersey that you have purchased from a supplier. And it's just an item you've got here that you're going to sell. It's just a single item. That's it. A kit allows you to bundle multiple products together, or multiples of the same product. So using this example again, a kit would be 2 jerseys that you'd be able to sell together. It could also be a jersey and a set of receiver gloves, something like that. So again, it can be multiple different products or multiples of the same product. Then we have a built product, which, using the football jersey example, this is one that you manufacture. So this is something, a built product allows you to keep track of the raw materials it takes to make this item. So if it's something that you manufacture, you can make it into a built product. And essentially, when you use what we call a work order to increase the quantity of that built product, we will reduce the various items it took to make this. So you can keep track of the work hours, you can keep track of the thread it used, all the various things that go into it, you can keep track of it, so that as you increase quantity of the jersey, it decreases quantity of the raw materials that you're using to make it. The last one here is a parent product. Parent products are interesting because they're not really technically products. They're simply ways to group together items that have slight variations between them. So using that football jersey example, it would be football jerseys, but in different sizes. So they're all technically the same thing, but they are different sizes, so they are different, but you want to be able to see them all together. A parent product allows you to say, this is a football jersey, and then you can take the various items that you have that are different sizes, so football jersey small, football jersey medium, football jersey large, to group them together. So to kind of see what these look like within Ecomdash, and we'll pop over here to this test and take a look at one of these. So when we import products, and when we, the first thing we went over is getting your products into Ecomdash. When you download your listings, we can download parent products and standard products. So if your listing is a variation listing, we can bring them in, create a parent product and group the variations under it, or we'll bring it in as a standard product. So some of the different ones that you can then create once you've got your items in would be a kit and a built product. But just to kind of show you again, a standard product here, if you can click into it, it's just a single item. It has its own quantity. We're going to go more in depth here on this page, but kind of just brief overviews, kind of here what it looks like. And you can set its quantity down here at the warehouse quantity field. For a kit, so the next thing we'll take a look at is a kit. So when you're creating a kit, and we'll make this here, it'll auto generate a SKU number for you when you create it. If we want to name that, we can call this a test kit 1. When creating a kit in Ecomdash, again, this allows you to group together various items. So what you can do here is once you've created a kit, we can come in and we can say add products. So basically, what are the items that are going to be within this kit? Within this kit, we can just go with the first one here, a Lifeline 85-piece large hard shell first aid kit. So if we select that, add it as an item. So let's say I want to sell this. Right now we sell it as 1, but I would like to sell it in a bundle of 2. So there's this field over here, which is the kit quantity includes. So if we're going to sell 2 of these within a single kit, then we would put a value of 2 here. The nice thing with a kit is that it's going to automatically generate a quantity for you. So if the quantity on hand here is 2, you've got 2, and the kit quantity includes could be 2. We can make 1 of these. Now we'll see the quantity on hand here is going to auto-generate. It is generating a lower number because we have in the negatives, because there is a reserve level set for that item. But essentially that's what you can do is you can come in here, and if it is going to take multiple products, you can come through here and add various products, again, to bundle multiples in here. And again, each time you define how much it includes to make that item. Once you define those, we automatically, again, calculate the kit quantity for you. So you will never upload, manually edit the quantity of a kit. You will simply set change quantity at the component level, so the actual item itself, and we'll calculate it out based on how much you say the quantity the kit includes. So that allows you, and then every time a kit sells, we reduce the quantity of these 2 items. So you can sell them on their own as well as a standard product. And because they're inside this kit, every time one of the standard items sells, it would reduce the quantity of itself, which then would reduce the quantity on hand here, meaning less kits we can make. So it's a really good way to kind of group things together. And again, you never have to update the quantity for the kit itself. You just do it all at the child level. So for a built product, and one of the main differences here between a kit and a built product is on a kit, the quantity of a kit is reduced when a sale occurs. So the components that are within that kit reduce when someone purchases it. With a built product, the quantity of its components reduce when you manufacture it. So again, with a jersey, where you're using thread for it. When you manufacture that item, at that point, you're going to say it takes this much thread to make this. So when you say, I have made a new jersey, we can then reduce the quantity of the components it took to make that jersey at that point. And then when someone purchases that jersey, it's simply reducing quantity of the jersey itself. It's not then going to reduce the quantity of the components, where again, for a kit, that quantity of the components is reduced upon sale. At the end of this webinar, we will be sending out an email with some guides that kind of go over that as well. So we'll be doing that. But just kind of show you what a built product looks like. We can create this where you could say a jersey, just to kind of keep things similar as far as what we've been doing here. And then these other fields, you can fill them out. They do not have to be, though, to kind of get things going here. So just kind of for our example, once you create that, you'll see it does look similar to a product, except at the very bottom, you add the components it takes to make this. So again, for a jersey, you would say click add products, and you would have an item called thread in here that you would be able to throw on there, or vinyl for the numbers. You'd be able to say it takes this much to make each one. So once you've added that, added in your different items, here we'll just kind of throw one of these in here for the example. But you see this field where it says quantity build requires. So in order to make this jersey, it's going to take this much of this component. It's going to take 2 of these to be able to make it. So again, built products and work orders are really used if you're manufacturing your own items. Is kind of the simple way to do that. And we'll go over the process of creating work orders in our webinar for advanced inventory options next week. But as far as just creating the item, that's kind of what these do. That's what they're for. Again, I'll send out a guide there with some more information on that. And then again, the last type of product that we kind of want to cover here is the parent product, where the parent product, again, is not actually an item itself. It just allows you to group different things here. So for test parent, so the parent never actually has quantity. Because again, it's not a product you sell. It's more of a grouping mechanism. And we'll see, we get one created here. So within this parent, you will see that towards the bottom, similar to the kit and the built product, there's a place to add them in. So here we have a button that says add variation. So for our test here, you click this and go through and basically select all the variations, all the children that need to be grouped under this item. So we can just kind of select a few here. And those are all grouped here. So now if we go back to inventory management and try and take a look at test parent, do a quick search here. You'll see the item right here with its SKU number and the name we provided with a green plus icon next to it. That it adds in here so you can see each of the related items and their current quantity. Again, you won't see a quantity filled out here for the actual item itself. To kind of take a look here at the kits we created here. Here, add a kit and make sure we save here so that we can see what it looks like down at the inventory management level. So with a lot of this here in our test account, it's some camping gear. So we can say, just kind of a beginner's camping kit that we want to put together here. So once you add your components in, we go back to inventory management. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. So you can kind of see we've got a couple tests in here, but again, it'll have a green plus icon, and then it'll just show you the item that's in it, its SKU number, and then the kit, the quantity that kit includes. So this is a 3-pack of socks. So you say, I have a single sock, and it takes 3 of these to make up the kit. So you'll see the green plus, and this is a valuable sorting tool here to be able to see the different types of products you have. So again, to kind of pop back into our presentation here, it's just the 4 major different types. Upon download from your storefront, we can automatically create parents and standard products. And then if you're looking to sell items bundled together, you can create a kit, or if you're manufacturing your own items, you can use our built product. And again, the parent product is going to group together different types of items. All right, so this is our product details page overview. This is where, again, it's a lot of data that you can keep track of. You can fill out that can be used for purchase orders or just kind of internal information. But to kind of go over this here, within a standard item, when you go into the product details page, which again, to access the product details page, it's simply going to be clicking the binoculars next to the item. So when you click the binoculars next to the item, it's going to take you to product details. Here you'll be able to see the product name, its SKU number, its current quantity on hand. You'll notice it's giving me a little, I can't click into this. Reason being is the quantity on hand field within Ecomdash is a formula. This is not a field you actually edit yourself. Instead, what it is it's the sum of your warehouse quantities. So if we scroll down to the very bottom of the page, which gives you your warehouses, you'll see that we have 2 warehouses. One of them has 26 and the other one has 0. So when we come back up, we add those 2 together. That gives us the total quantity on hand of 6. Sync quantity is the quantity we're actually going to be pushing out to your storefronts, to your listings. The only time this can really be different than your quantity on hand field is if you have specifically said for this product to not include a particular warehouse's quantity in its in the syncs. So if we kind of scroll back down there, we can take a look at this. We'll see the 2 warehouses. We'll see right now we're including Amazon FBA in this product sync. If we uncheck that box and say, I still have 26 on hand, but I've now said I don't want to include the quantity in that warehouse in my syncs. Come back up here and we'll see now sync quantities at 0 because we've said don't include any of them in syncs, so it's dropped back to 0. So that's when that differs. Otherwise, if you're including both in your syncs, the syncable balance is going to be exactly the same, or syncable quantity is going to be exactly the same as your quantity on hand. The reorder level is really useful. It allows you to say, when my quantity drops to this number. So right now we have 26 on hand, but I would like to get a heads up when quantity hits 5 so that I can start purchasing some more from my supplier. So if you put 5 in here, when quantity drops down to a level of 5, you can receive a low inventory alert. So you can get an email to let you know, hey, this product has reached its reorder level. And it'll actually be added to a nice little page here in Ecomdash where if you hover over inventory, you'll see an option called low inventory. Basically, that product will display there. So if you go there and want to see, all right, what products do I need to reorder? Once they hit that reorder level, they will appear there. Over here we have the auto sync option. We do have an option to turn on auto sync for all of your products, but if you wanted to turn it on product by product, you can check that box here. And again, here in just a few slides, we're going to go over exactly what auto sync does and what it's used for, but it can be turned here. If this product is part of a variation as well as another checkbox, where if you check this, you can say, here's the parent SKU that this is actually a child of. And fill that out here. For reserve level, if your product is maybe a low quantity, but it's a fast seller, you may want to keep some hidden back, to kind of protect yourself from any kind of oversells. So again, if it's a very low quantity you have, and it can sell very quick, this is typically a very good idea. If you put a reserve level there, so in this case, its quantity on hand is 26, but you're saying I want to keep 5 back. When we actually send a sync out to your storefront, we will subtract 5 from it. So instead of syncing out 26, we would sync out 21. That also means when you actually hit a quantity of 5, it'll be showing 0 out on your storefront. Again, this is kind of help protect from oversell. So that can be a good tool to use. The target inventory level is going to be used when creating a purchase order. So when you go to create a PO, so for this particular product, the target inventory level is 30. Right now we have 26, but we'd like to be at 30. If we were to go and create a purchase order in Ecomdash for this item, we would automatically set the quantity to reorder that we need to order from our supplier to 4, simply to get us back to the target inventory level. So if you're going to be using Ecomdash to create purchase orders and send them to your supplier, you can set a target inventory level, and that time, every time you go to create a PO, will automatically calculate the difference between your current quantity on hand and the target inventory level, and whatever that difference is, we'll set it as the default number that you need to reorder. Obviously, you'd be able to make that change within there if you wanted to order more, but it's kind of a good way make things a little faster when reordering. Speaking of suppliers, you do have a section within each product to define a particular supplier is associated with this. If you have already set up a supplier in Ecomdash, which can be done at Settings, Supplier Setup, it'll show here that you would be able to select. You can also create a brand new one by clicking Add New. These various fields can be important too. So supplier SKU gives you essentially another space to put a SKU number. So in Ecomdash, for this particular test business, we call this product SKU number 0000-12126. But maybe Coleman Camping Company, they're actually calling it ABC. That allows you to kind of keep track of the different SKU numbers. It even allows you, when uploading a file, as we demonstrated earlier, if you're receiving a file straight from Coleman Camping, they're not going to give you a file with your SKU number on it. They're going to give you a file with their SKU. So to make things easy, you can put their SKU here, and you can upload the file, and instead of using the field SKU number, you can use the attribute supplier SKU, so that you can upload it, and we'll say, all right, when you upload a file and matching on supplier SKU, we'll say, well, supplier SKU ABC is related to SKU 0000-12126, and we'll update the quantity for this product. There's also a field here for ordering by case. Excuse me. If you're going to be ordering, a box of this item rather than just one at a time, you can select order by case. We do keep track of your average cost. So if you do select and choose to order by case rather than ordering by itself, we do provide you this warning to let you know that if you do change to ordering by case, that'll change your average cost now. So we do give you a heads up there. But if you choose to order by case, you can set, the current case quantity that you use. When you're reordering that case, do you want us to round up and potentially get you more than you actually need based on that case, or do you want us to round down and keep it under? You can set the cost for this item. This is very useful for multiple reasons. One of them, it allows you to see your inventory valuation on the dashboard. It allows you to take full advantage of the various reports we have, such as cost of goods sold and the purchasing reports. And it'll automatically default that field when you go to create a PO and go to reorder this item within Ecomdash. We'll automatically pull in the cost that you have set here. Again, we have this average cost and average landed cost that we'll calculate for you. These will be set as you create purchase orders in Ecomdash. So as you move along, the longer we use it, the more data we have in there to be able to populate those for you. I also have a few here kind of internal little things here. We have an is drop ship checkbox that just kind of allows you, when you click the binoculars next to the product, to see if this is an item that's drop shipped. Also, whether it has been discontinued or not. Again, these are more just kind of internal. You can, export information out of Ecomdash and into like an Excel file and be able to check and see, is this discontinued or not. But again, this is mainly internal. Same thing here with a supplier out of stock. This cost field over here is, again, a single. You can set the case cost here if you are ordering it by the case. Shipping information section, this allows you to define the length, width, and depth, as well as the weight. This can make things very easy if you're going to be generating shipping labels in Ecomdash, because if you have this information filled out here, when you receive an order into Ecomdash and you go to ship it, we'll automatically populate it with this information so that you don't have to fill it out each time, making it very easy to go ahead and pick your rates, where we'll just pull in this information. We'll double check with the address, and we'll be able to pull in, create a shipping label. Get manufacturer information. This allows you to, again, kind of put in their list price so that you can see what they have it is, the minimum advertised price. If you're selling on a place like Gun Broker or something like that, we have the is firearm checkbox. ISBN, if you're not using UPC, if you're selling books, we have the UPC code EAN for those in Europe. Brand and a manufacturer part number And these are just kind of internal fields you can use, as well as some notes here. If you want to make some notes about this particular product that you want to remember moving forward, feel free to keep track of those here. You can also use what's called tagging. This is a more advanced feature that we'll be going over next week, but tagging allows you to throw in particular things for this item, particular tags that you can then search on in inventory management. So if you're selling various different camping gear, such as this test one, and this particular item we're selling is a backpack, and you want to be able to search just on all backpacks or on a certain brand, or you can tag that here. And then in inventory management, you can say, I just want to see all items that have backpack as the tag, or this particular brand here. You can create new tags here as well, but you can assign them right here. And then this is a really important part down here at the bottom when it comes to your inventory. This is actually where you manage the quantity. So this is where you type quantity in. Like I mentioned, at the very top of this page, we have the quantity on hand field that you cannot edit because it's a formula. So when you are updating quantity within the product details, it's as simple as scrolling down. So let's say I just got 15 into my own warehouse, type 15, excuse me, type 15 here, and then we're going to add that up into your quantity on hand for you. So again, whenever you're uploading quantities or you're manually changing them in Ecomdash, you're doing it at the warehouse level. So a few other things, again, that's kind of the product details page. For some of the tabs that we have up here, those start to get into a little more of the advanced stuff or into listings. We're just going to do kind of a quick run through on what these do. So again, this main one here is the product details. Custom tab, if there's a particular field that you would like to keep track of in Ecomdash that we don't already have, you can create a custom attribute that can be added to the product, filled in. It can be set in bulk using a CSV file, can also be exported. There's some here already populated, but you can click add new to pick and choose or create new ones. Listings, this is where you're going to be able to see this product, where is it currently listed? So you'll see for this test item, it is actively listed on a Woo and Etsy storefront, and it's queued up to begin listing on Amazon and Newegg. If it was not listed there at all and was not being queued up, one of those logos would appear here. So it kind of gives you a quick overview. We also have some global listing attributes, which we'll cover more in the listing section thing. They more or less act as defaults, but if you do want to start filling in storefront specific fields for listing, this is a page where you could do it. You would basically select the storefront you want to see those storefront specific listing details for, and then you would click go. It would take you there and you'd be able to see some more listing information. Again, we'll be hosting a listing webinar here in the summertime that'll be able to go over that a little bit more. For images, if you need to get your images into Ecomdash, they can be uploaded using a CSV file if you have the URLs, if they're being hosted, or on this tab, you can come in here and you can either enter the URL, again, if it's hosted, type it in and click add image, or you can upload a file if you have it saved on your desktop. Once you've done that, you'd be able to come and add image. You can also remove images by selecting them all and removing them here, deleting images if you don't need those. Storefronts tab is a pretty important one here. Storefront, basically here you will see every single storefront that you have integrated with Ecomdash with the reference ID. So that kind of gets into SKU mapping. I'm actually going to cover that next week, so kind of dig into this, but this allows you to essentially say, if I have a product in Ecomdash that on eBay, I call it 000-12126, but on Etsy, it's under a different SKU number. You can actually put that very different SKU number here and save that, and that way we kind of view them as the same, so that if this SKU in Ecomdash changes, when we go to push out a sync or import an order from Etsy, we'll be looking for this other one. Again, we'll kind of dive deeper into that in our advanced. We also have an available quantity field. Essentially, this allows you to provide or push out a different quantity to your storefront than what you actually have in stock. So if you have 5,000 of an item, but you kind of want to keep an idea of scarcity, this is kind of what you would use. If you have 5,000 in stock, but you only want to tell eBay that you have 5, you can click into this, change it to 5, and we sync out the lower of the two. So between your quantity on hand and your available quantity. So right now, the quantity on hand in this example, I believe we had just set it to 41. If we set the available quantity here to 5, instead of syncing out 41 to eBay, we'll only sync out 5. And as long as you keep this box unchecked, once quantity actually drops below 5 here, we'll start syncing out actual quantity on hand, because again, it's the lower of the two, whether that's quantity on hand or available quantity. If you do check this box, that value is all we're going to sync out. Even if you're at 0, 4, 1,000, a million, regardless of your quantity on hand, if you check this box, always use available quantity. We will always use the value that you have here. And then we also have a place over here to be able to set whether this item is going to be fulfilled by merchant, or if you're going to be routing these orders to Amazon for fulfillment. You can also say if you're never going to list it here on a particular storefront, you can uncheck that there, and that just kind of cleans things up. If you truly believe you're never going to list this item on that storefront, you can uncheck that box, and when you're in the listing management portion of Ecomdash, you won't see that particular storefront there. So those are the various tabs. We do have a movement tab. This can be very useful. It just kind of gives you a breakdown of your sales, your manual quantity adjustment. So you can see there, I added in a quantity of 15, which increased quantity to 41. You can see here the warehouse I increased it in. So that will kind of break down all the, and run through that. So let's get back here. So that's kind of the product details page overview. Again, there are a few things we touched on there that are going to be handled in a listing webinar, as well as some of our advanced ones that I'll be hosting myself here next week. So managing quantities, again, we kind of touched on that with the product details overview. But the biggest thing with this is when you're handling quantities in Ecomdash, you don't do it at the quantity on hand level. You are making those changes down at the warehouse quantity level. So again, whether you're uploading a file, you want to use warehouse quantity as the attribute, or if you're uploading or just manually making the change in Ecomdash, you do that there as well. And we can kind of see if we go to inventory management, you can also see your quantity here. So that's going to be your quantity on hand, the sum of all your warehouses. But if you clicked the advanced edit, you'll see both warehouses with the ability to make a change to the quantity here. Now the way quantity is going to be handled in Ecomdash for your items, once you've got quantity in here, when an order comes into Ecomdash, it is going to come in. So if someone orders this particular SKU, it's going to come into Ecomdash, and then it is going to try and find a warehouse with quantity. So you see the priority orders here. Basically you say, I want orders to come in. I want them to reduce from this warehouse first. So we have FBA set up as our priority one. So when it comes in to Ecomdash, we can route an order, eBay, Etsy, or Amazon order. Amazon will be able to route it themselves. But when it comes in, we're going to look for quantity at your priority one warehouse. If there's quantity there, we'll reduce quantity. If your priority one warehouse has sold out, we will then drop down to your priority two. So in this case, the priority two still has stock, and the order would be allocated there. Quantity would be reduced from that field. So within Ecomdash, when you've got set up, if you have auto import orders come in, you'll see as orders come into Ecomdash, quantity will be reduced. And again, the way we figure out how to do that is based on the priority order. When that order comes in, we will always check priority one first for stock. If it has stock, we will reduce from there. If it doesn't, we will roll to the next one. If you have more than 2 warehouses, we will just continue to roll next one, next one, next one until we find the warehouse that has stock in it. At that point, that'll be the quantity, or the warehouse the quantity is reduced from and allocated to. So then the next thing here, this is kind of towards the end here as far as wrapping it up, but it is one of the most important things in Ecomdash, and that is autosync. First off, autosync is what Ecomdash uses to ensure that each of your listings has the same quantity. And it's what we can use to help you prevent oversells when you're selling on multiple different storefronts. Instead of having to go to each storefront and update quantity, our AutoSync feature is going to take care of that for you. So with AutoSync, it essentially works that every time quantity changes in Ecomdash, we will sync that change out to your storefronts. So we don't sync quantities on a schedule, anything like that, where things can potentially be missed. We will do it live, that as soon as an order comes in or as soon as you manually change quantity in Ecomdash, within minutes that quantity will be reflected up on the storefront, ensuring that your storefront is displaying the correct quantity that you actually have on hand. The other main thing we want to go over with AutoSync, so that's what it does. Every time quantity changes, we sync it out. But you need to make sure you have AutoSync on for your product. If it's not on, we will not be able to sync those changes out, and you begin risking oversells. If orders are still coming into Ecomdash, but we don't have the ability to push those changes out to your storefronts, there's a chance that quantities get mismatched and someone is able to place an order on your storefront for a quantity you do not actually have. So if you don't have AutoSync enabled yet, if you've just gotten started with Ecomdash, you'll actually see this green button that says Enable Account AutoSync. Clicking that button is like the circuit breaker in your house. It will not simply flipping it on will not turn on AutoSync for all of your products. It simply allows you to begin doing so. So just like with your circuit breaker, when you flip it on, it doesn't mean all your lights in your house come on, but now you have the ability to go to a light switch, flip it on, and now the light comes on. So once you've clicked that green button to enable account AutoSync, we'll take a look here and see what this looks like. So once you click that, it'll actually go away. You will no longer see that green button, and instead you'll see what's called sync actions. So if you're currently in our trial period, you'll be able to turn on AutoSync for 500 of your products. So you can select, up to 250 at a time. Check a box to select all, sync actions, turn on AutoSync. Get that all turned on. If you're an active user with us, you will see an option here that says turn on AutoSync for all products in filter. That'll allow us to literally turn on AutoSync for every single product that you have. All based on if we have these various filters. If these are all set to all, and you don't have anything typed in the search bar, and you select sync actions, turn on all inventory for filter, a little pop-up will come up there and we'll turn it on for every single product. One key thing that I like to mention is simply turning on AutoSync does not push async out to your storefronts yet, because again, AutoSync allows Ecomdash to push out quantity when quantity changes. So what I like to recommend is that very first time, if you've confirmed that the quantities in Ecomdash are correct, whether you're doing an inventory audit or uploading a file, once you've ensured your quantities are correct in Ecomdash, turn on AutoSync and then push a sync now. So again, you can turn on AutoSync for every single product. Once that's done, if you would like to go ahead and force out your current quantities, you can select up to 250 products at a time, select sync actions, and click sync now. That'll go ahead and force out what you have, and then AutoSync over time, next time your quantities change, AutoSync will push that change out. Since this is such an important part of Ecomdash, and really, one of the main things that we can do to help you out, I will be sending over a guide on AutoSync, both turning it on and some different tips and tricks, including that very first time turning on AutoSync and pushing a sync now. We'll kind of go over that. So I'll provide that to you guys. A very key thing when it comes to AutoSync is monitoring it to where if we do provide you a sync inventory history, if you ever have any question or you want to double check that a sync is being sent out, or you're just testing it, testing changing quantity for a product with AutoSync on, and you want to see whether it went out, you can go to the sync inventory history, where you'll be able to see the particular item and whether that sync, you'll see it queued up, you'll see it in process, and once it's reflected on the storefront, it'll show complete here. A really quick way to be able to see whether AutoSync is on for an item, we'll kind of show this here boom, this little icon. Seeing that tells you AutoSync is running. If you don't see that there, you do want to, and you want Ecomdash to be managing quantity, you do want to get that turned on. Just kind of a quick little tip here. There's a filter here, this all inventory filter, where you can see all your products with AutoSync disabled so that you can get it turned on. And if you want to see AutoSync enabled, you'll be able to see that as well. So that's kind of a quick tip there. All right, so that's, like I said, AutoSync is very important. Understanding what it does, it is inventory management, it allows Ecomdash to sync your quantities, is very important, as well as turning it on, how to use it. We'll get that guide sent out to kind of go over that. But yeah, if you do have any questions, shoot an email, support@ecomdash.com. Myself or our other support agents are happy to help. We do also have chat within the software, and you can schedule a call with us. If you're not familiar how to schedule a call, you simply hover over the blue question mark in the top right corner of the software and select schedule a call for it, and you pick a time that works for you. One of our agents will reach out. So thanks again for coming out. If you guys are looking for some more of the advanced stuff, please register for the webinar next week. Again, I'll be hosting that. We'll go over some various things like I mentioned, such as SKU mapping, a little more detailed on uploading CSV files. And kind of getting into some more of the sync actions. So yeah, thanks again for coming out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm sure I'll be speaking with you over support here coming soon. So yeah, thank you again, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. All right.